Rome didn't fall to barbarians. It fell to accountants. The greatest empires in history weren't conquered by armies. They were destroyed by something far more insidious. Currency debasement. While generals fought on battlefields, emperors waged a different war. A secret financial battle that destroyed economies from within. Ancient rulers discovered a terrible truth. You can print your way to power, but only once. This is the story of how ancient empires inflated themselves to death, and why every lesson they learned has been forgotten. Because we're making the exact same mistakes today. Let's go back 2,000 years, to the height of Roman power. The Roman denarius was the dollar of the ancient world. Pure silver, trusted everywhere from Britain to Egypt. Merchants accepted it without question. Soldiers fought for it. The denarius was more than money. It was Rome's credibility in metal form. But Rome had a problem. Empire is expensive. Legions on every border. Roads across continents. Aqueducts. Colosseums. All of it cost more than tax revenue could cover. So Emperor Nero had an idea. A terrible, brilliant idea. What if we just used less silver? In 64 AD, Nero reduced the silver content from 100% to 90%. The coins looked the same, weighed almost the same, but Rome could now mint 10% more coins from the same silver. Free money, or so it seemed. Every emperor after Nero faced the same choice. Pay for the empire honestly, or debase the currency. Honesty was expensive. Debasement was easy. And so, one by one, they all chose debasement. By 211 AD, the denarius was only 50% silver. By 270 AD, it was barely 5%. To understand why this destroyed Rome, you need to understand inflation. Imagine you're a Roman baker in 200 AD. You sell bread for 1 denarius. The coin is real silver. But then the emperor mints millions of new coins with less silver. Suddenly, there are twice as many denarii, but the same amount of bread. You realize the coins are worth less. So you raise your price. Every merchant does the same. Prices double, then triple. This is inflation. Too much money chasing too few goods. But here's the cruel part. The government pays soldiers in the new debased coins. By the time those coins reach the baker, prices have already risen. The soldiers' pay buys half as much bread as before. The government gains, but everyone else loses. This is called the Cantillon Effect. The people closest to the money printer benefit. Everyone else gets poorer. Ancient Rome discovered this the hard way. But they weren't the only empire playing this game. In China, the Tang dynasty invented paper money in 806 AD. At first, it was brilliant, lighter than coins, easier to transport. But unlike silver, paper costs almost nothing to produce. The temptation was irresistible. Within decades, China was printing money to pay for everything. Wars, palaces, bureaucracies, all funded by the printing press. By 1455, hyperinflation destroyed the Ming dynasty's economy. Prices rose 10,000%. The currency became worthless. China abandoned paper money entirely for the next 500 years. The pattern is always the same. Step 1, fiscal crisis. Step 2, print money. Step 3, economic collapse. Every civilization thinks they'll be different. None of them are. By the 3rd century AD, Rome was in free fall. The denarius was now 95% copper, nearly worthless. Prices increased 1,000% in just 50 years. A soldier's yearly pay couldn't buy a week's worth of food. The empire tried to fight inflation with price controls. Emperor Diocletian's edict on maximum prices in 301 AD. It listed maximum prices for over 1,000 goods and services. Death penalty for anyone who charged more. It failed completely. You can't legislate away economic reality. Merchants simply stopped selling. Black markets exploded. Food disappeared from cities. Starvation spread. The Roman economy shifted to barter. Money was abandoned. Farmers refused to accept denarii. They wanted goods instead. Trade collapsed. Cities shrank. The empire fractured. Military discipline evaporated when soldiers couldn't buy food. Legions mutinied. They murdered emperors and crowned new ones. Between 235 and 284 AD, Rome had 50 emperors in 50 years. Most died violently. None could fix the currency crisis, because the currency crisis was the empire crisis. Barbarians didn't destroy Rome. Inflation did. The invasions came later, after the economy had already collapsed. Rome fell from within, one debased coin at a time. And it started with one emperor who thought he could cheat. The Spanish Empire learned this lesson 1,500 years later. In the 1500s, Spain conquered the Americas. Silver from Potosi flooded into Europe. Mountains of it. Spain thought it had unlimited wealth, but flooding the market with silver is currency debasement. By 1600, Spanish prices had increased 400%. The economy collapsed. The lessons from these ancient financial battles are clear. Currency debasement is a hidden tax. Governments don't call it that. They call it monetary policy. But the effect is identical to what Nero did 2,000 years ago. When central banks print money, they're debasing the currency. Your savings lose value. Prices rise. Purchasing power falls. But politicians love it. It lets them spend without raising taxes. And most people don't notice until it's too late. Since 1971, the US dollar has lost 87% of its purchasing power. That's not inflation. That's monetary debasement. Every major empire in history has played this game. Rome, China, Spain, France, Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe. All of them thought they could print prosperity. All of them were wrong. Because you cannot create wealth by creating currency. Wealth comes from productivity, from making things people want. Currency is just a claim on that wealth. When you double the currency, you don't double the wealth. You just cut the value of each unit in half. Ancient emperors knew this. They did it anyway. So why do we keep repeating the same mistake? Because the costs come later. The benefits come now. Politicians love policies where they get the credit and their successors get the blame. Currency debasement is the perfect political crime. It's invisible, gradual, and by the time people notice, it's too late. The Roman baker didn't wake up one day with worthless coins. It happened slowly, year by year, emperor by emperor, until one day, he realized his life savings couldn't buy a loaf of bread. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And right now, it's rhyming louder than ever. So here's my question for you. If every empire in history inflated itself to death, why do we think we'll be different?